Imagine this: a cold, rainy night, a lonely street, and a woman standing in the pouring rain. Then, out of nowhere, a stranger pulls up. He's a black man, and he doesn't hesitate. He offers her a ride, no questions asked. What happens next is something you wouldn't expect. A simple act of kindness that sparks a love story neither of them could have ever imagined. Stay tuned to find out how one rainy night changed their lives forever. It was a cold, dreary evening. The rain poured down relentlessly, turning the streets into rivers of water, making everyone hurry to get to shelter. The kind of weather that made people forget about kindness, yet for Malcolm, a 30-year-old black man with a heart full of compassion, this was the night that would change his life forever. He had just wrapped up a long day at work, his body tired, his mind exhausted, and all he wanted was to head home and relax. As he drove down the lonely, wet road in his black truck, his eyes caught a figure standing on the sidewalk. A woman. She was drenched, shivering, and wrapped in a thin, tattered blanket that offered little protection against the relentless downpour. Her clothes clung to her, soaked through, and her face was pale, clearly the result of the cold seeping into her very bones. Malcolm's heart went out to her, and without hesitation, he slowed down the truck. He always believed in the power of kindness, but something about her vulnerability tugged at him. "Hey, are you all right?" He called out through the window, his voice cutting through the rain. The woman looked up, startled, and for a moment, their eyes locked. Fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty were reflected in her gaze. She hadn't expected anyone to stop. She hadn't expected help. As the truck rumbled down the wet road, Malcolm stole glances at the woman sitting beside him. She was trying to dry herself with a crumpled towel she had probably picked up off the ground, but it was clear it wasn't enough. Her hair stuck to her face, wet and disheveled. Her fingers trembled as she clutched the towel, doing her best to wipe the water from her skin, but she seemed lost in her thoughts, distant. "Thank you," she said softly after a long silence, her voice breaking the stillness of the truck. "I didn't know what to do out there. I've been on the streets for too long. I didn't want to bother anyone." Malcolm's heart tightened at the words, feeling the weight of her struggles. No one should be out there in that kind of weather. "Where are you headed?" he asked gently, trying to understand her situation. She hesitated, her hands twisting in her lap, unsure whether to open up. "I don't really have a place to go. Just trying to survive," she admitted quietly, her voice tinged with the rawness of her truth. Malcolm's heart broke a little more, but instead of pressing her, he offered a soft smile. "I'm Malcolm," he said, extending his hand. "What's your name?" "Emma," she replied, her hand trembling as they shook. The rain began to ease, but Emma remained silent, her eyes downcast, overwhelmed by the weight of her past. As the miles passed, Malcolm knew the road ahead wasn't just for her, it was a chance for both of them to find something more, something that could change both of their lives. He wanted to help her, to offer more than just a ride. In the silence, he could sense that she was beginning to feel something she hadn't in a long time: safety. By the time they reached the edge of town, Emma had begun to open up to Malcolm, sharing bits and pieces of her life. She spoke of the time when she had a steady job, a roof over her head, and a sense of stability. But then it all unraveled. First, she lost her job, and without the financial security it provided, she lost her apartment. Struggling to make ends meet, Emma eventually found herself living on the streets. Through it all, she had never given up hope, even when everything seemed impossible. There were days when the weight of her situation felt unbearable, but she kept going, pushing through the loneliness and fear. Malcolm listened intently, his heart aching for her. He could sense the resilience in her voice, but also the deep sadness and exhaustion that came from surviving on her own for so long. It was clear that Emma had been fighting battles far bigger than she let on, but she had done it alone, until now. As the truck drove through the town, Malcolm couldn't shake the overwhelming urge to do more for her than just offering a ride. "Listen," he said, his voice soft but sincere, "I have a spare room at my place. You're welcome to stay there for a while." Emma glanced at him, uncertainty clouding her eyes. I don't know if I can accept that. I don't know if I can accept that. I don't want to be a burden. Malcolm smiled gently, the sincerity in his eyes reaching her. You're not a burden. You've been through enough already. The least I can do is offer you a safe place to sleep. There was a long pause. Emma looked down, processing his words. She had spent so much time fending for herself, relying on no one, that this act of kindness felt foreign to her. But deep down, she knew it was what she needed. She nodded slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you. Malcolm shrugged, the warmth in his eyes reassuring her. You don't have to. Just take care of yourself. It was the first time in a long while that Emma felt something she hadn't known she was missing, a sense of security, of being cared for, and of finally finding a place where she didn't have to fight alone. As the days passed, Emma began to adjust to her new life in Malcolm's apartment. At first, she kept to herself, still unsure about what the future held. The walls of isolation she had built around herself over the years weren't easy to tear down. She was grateful for Malcolm's kindness, but her heart was still weighed down by the scars of her past. The fear of relying on someone, the worry of imposing on him, and the hesitation to fully open up. Despite her silence, Malcolm never pushed her. He gave her the space she needed while quietly supporting her through the daily challenges she faced. Malcolm's kindness never wavered. He not only offered her a roof over her head, but also helped her find ways to get back on her feet. He offered to help her search for a job, patiently working through applications with her, offering advice, and providing encouragement. Slowly, Emma started to feel a glimmer of hope she hadn't felt in years. She began to open up to him, sharing the dreams she once had before life knocked her down, the fears that kept her awake at night, and the deep gratitude she felt for the second chance she had been given. For Malcolm, something unexpected began to happen. He found himself looking forward to their evening conversations. Over dinner, they would talk about anything and everything. They would laugh about small things, the kind of things that seemed trivial in the grand scheme of life but brought a sense of joy and connection. Through these moments, he came to admire Emma's resilience, the quiet strength she carried despite all the hardships she had endured. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. Malcolm realized something important. He wasn't just helping Emma, she was helping him too. She had reminded him of the true value of compassion, of the importance of caring for others, even when it seemed like there was nothing left to give. She taught him that sometimes offering a hand to lift someone up could be just as transformative for the person giving it as it was for the one receiving it. Through Emma, Malcolm learned that kindness has a ripple effect, and that helping someone could open doors to deeper connections and shared healing. One evening, after a long day of job hunting, Emma approached Malcolm with a wide smile that reached her eyes, a sight that hadn't been there in a long time. I got a job, she said, her voice filled with excitement and relief. I start next week. Malcolm's face lit up, his heart swelling with pride. He had watched her struggle, seen the doubt in her eyes, but he always believed in her. That's amazing, Emma. I knew you could do it, he said, his words sincere, full of admiration. The joy in his voice echoed his happiness for her, but it was more than just the success of getting a job. It was the realization that Emma was no longer the same woman he had met on that cold, rainy night. She was stronger, more confident, and ready to take on the world again. As they shared a moment of celebration, something shifted between them. The bond that had started with a simple act of kindness, a ride on a stormy night, had transformed into something deeper. In that quiet moment, they didn't need words to express what they were feeling. The way they looked at each other said it all. The connection they had formed through understanding, support, and shared vulnerability was undeniable. Their lives had intertwined in ways neither of them could have imagined. From that rainy night when Malcolm had offered Emma a ride to safety, their love had begun to grow slowly but surely. It wasn't just the kindness that had sparked it, but the emotional connection they had nurtured, the trust that had been built, and the quiet moments they shared together. In the end, they both realized that sometimes love begins in the most unexpected places, like a truck on a rainy night. What had started as a simple act of compassion had blossomed into something far more beautiful, a deep, lasting love they hadn't been looking for but found in each other when they needed it the most. And in that moment, they knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Black Visionaries family. We've got so many more inspiring stories coming your way. What an unexpected love story, right? A simple act of kindness on a rainy night, and just like that, something truly beautiful began. If you believe in the power of compassion and love, you don't want to miss these uplifting stories. Drop a like if Malcolm and Emma's journey moved you, and comment below. How do you think love can change lives in the most unexpected ways? Don't forget to share this video with others. Let's spread kindness together. Keep the good vibes going and stay tuned for more. Subscribe to Black Visionaries and stay inspired.